So even though Stu doesn't want you to hear this news.
I don't?
Want you to hear this news. He does, because he hates children.
I do? I have two of them.
Well, Manga liked them in pairs too. So
wow. That went really dark really fast.
I do have a tendency of...
We're like 10 seconds into the hour.
Of like launching nuclear weapons.
I've noticed.
We should probably build up to that one. Anyway, there's a new article out now that talks about ADHD, and it's coming from the left and the experts that they're now starting to say, I don't know, maybe not everything we thought was true about ADHD. And I think this story is written by Matt Walsh, who's great. Whoever wrote this for the Daily Wire was great. More than 21% of 14-year-old boys in this country now supposedly suffer from ADHD. The number goes up to 23% for 17-year-old boys. As a result, prescriptions for drugs like ritalin and Adderall have skyrocketed. Just want you to know that's speed. From 2012 to 2022, the total number of prescriptions for stimulants to treat ADHD increased dramatically by nearly 60%. From 2012, in a 10-year period, we've gone up with 60% prescription. Between the ages of 10 to 14, the demographic saw the highest increase in these prescriptions. So he writes, and I think this is such a great observation. For decades, you've been instructed to believe there's no significance to this correlation whatsoever. And here it is. As women increasingly enter the workforce and replace men in teaching jobs, we're not supposed to draw any conclusions about how the behavior of male children is now being addressed. The truth is, we've been told, not that a feminized education system has increasingly punished normal male behavior it doesn't understand. It's not that schools have lost their capacity to educate male students. It's not that smartphone use and electronics in general have become distractions that teachers have been unable to control. Instead, we're led to believe that boys have suddenly become afflicted with a severe psychological disorder. Okay. This is the first time I had ever heard this about, how we feminized things. And we have. We've we've diminished boys. But I grew up at a school. I don't think I had a male teacher until I was in high school. And I had all female teachers. There weren't a lot of nuns that were, oh my gosh, I remember that really male-like. Maybe she was a man, but identified as a nun. I'm not sure.
But you, of course, to put it gently, are not exactly a recent student.
It's better than where I thought he was going, Sarah. I thought he was going, you're not really a man. But I'll take it. I got it. No,
you're right, though. There are there surely are more female teachers, I would think, just because of the workforce changes. But,
sure.
But that was a pretty... I mean, all my teachers that I can always remember were female, too.
Right. The one thing that has changed, though, is we just dismiss boys entirely. I mean, it's all focused on girls right now. All of it. It's... science, everything is just push the girls, push the girls, push the girls. You can be anything. Shut up, sit down, have some Ritalin to the boys. And that's a problem. And I have to tell you, as a parent, you probably have recognized this. Does Lisa understand your daughter better than you do? And you understand your son?
I get the point you're going at. I don't know that it would necessarily apply. Some ways she very well understands my daughter.
Because I walk in,
we talk about this often.
I'm just clueless. I have no idea. I walk in as a dad, and I'm like, hey, put some pants on, would you? And my daughter's like, and I'm like, what the hell did I just say? And my wife just looks at me like, you don't say that to her. And I'm like, okay. But she'll say that to my son, and my son doesn't go,
right. They're different.
I know they are. They are. And I can relate. For instance, my wife, she'll say something, and I know how she means it because I'm an adult, but I can hear what Rafe hears.
Right.
Because I heard it from my mom, and I realize now that's not what my mom meant, but you hear... pick up your room. You're always a mess. You're always this. And that's not what she said. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even though it's true.
It is.
It's not what...
As they get into the teenage years in particular, it's really difficult to communicate.
That's what I really mean. Yes. That's what I mean is the teenage years. I have no idea. Like, I had no idea how mean girls are. Oh, my gosh. They are vicious. I would much rather be put into a room of rabid boys than normal girls. They are dangerous.
Guys can be jerks, but they're on the surface.
They're stupid jerks.
Yeah, it's just kind of nonsensical stuff. Girls dig. They dig for the wounds.
Gosh, they just... Yeah. They'll cut you open, and then they'll eat your heart while you're still watching them. I mean, it's horrible. Anyway, so the article goes on to say about how some of these studies, they point one out, the University of Central Florida conducted a grand experiment where they put a child in front of a computer, and it shows the video in this. The research, and by the way, you can get this article at glennbeck.com. You just sign up for my free email newsletter. You get all the stories we talk about every day. Researchers showed a child 2 separate videos. One video was about mathematics, and it involves a teacher talking about basic addition, subtraction, and multiplication. The other video was the pod racing scene from Star Wars. Now, you'll never guess what they discovered.
Oh, what did they discover?
They discovered that when the math lecture was going on, the kid started spinning in his chair and he was fidgeting and not paying attention. But when the child was watching
ADD.
The pod, yes, something deeply psychologically wrong with that kid, right?
You're telling me when they showed the one good scene from the first prequel, they were interested?
Yeah.
Wow, that's shocking.
I was fidgeting. The rest of the movie was like math.
Yeah, I would give me the one that is the pod racing scene versus the trade dispute scene from the Star. Why go to anything else? Just do the Star Wars thing.
Right. So. It doesn't prove anything.
It proves that there wasn't a lot of good scenes in the first Star Wars.
Wait a minute. I just did a study with my kids. They like sugary cereal over bran flakes.
Oh my gosh, ADD.
Yeah, I know. I got to get them
on the bran flakes.
No, I got to get them on LSD or something.
We are looking for these diagnosis to diagnose kids in this way. I think often that doesn't mean that there aren't some that have these types of issues. Look, when you refer to that article, you said Matt Walsh wrote this.
I don't know. It's from Daily Wire. I thought it was Matt.
Daily
Walsh.
Wire is great. We love the Daily Wire guys. Obviously, that's the one I had read was some scientific. I thought we were referring to a different story where they did not say it was a scam. Obviously, it's an opinion to say it's a scam. Although it might be the right opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong opinion.
It might be the right one. I don't know. But I mean, I was referring to a different article, which is why I was confused at your framing of it. But like, these are
right.
That's not. I think there are kids that are affected with really they have real trouble in school.
Oh my gosh.
Focusing on things,
of course,
that are maybe a little bit more than they can handle on their own.
Not a psychological disorder.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah, it might not be.
All kids are wired differently.
Yeah.
Boys and girls are wired differently in the first place. Then it's just, that's one of the things that AI can produce that will be good with you as a parent overseeing it every step of the way is it will adapt to the way you learn because everybody learns differently. There are kids that they're into math and I don't get it and they can talk about math all day long and they've lost me. But a kid that likes to learn through stories, I'm there all day for him. I'm there all day. And I was the same way. I'm a visual learner. I'm a story, I learn from stories. And if I have a really boring teacher, some of the kids are really going to love that teacher because he's just all about facts and just gets it all out and can explain it. That doesn't help me. It doesn't help me. That doesn't mean I have a psychological, let me make it clear. That by itself does not indicate that I have a deep psychological problem. Okay? Other things might, but not that. That's just everybody is different, especially the difference between boys and girls. And here's what they said. The conclusion was that ADHD is triggered by cognitively demanding tasks. No, it's not. No, it's not. I was painting yesterday, and I can't tell you how many times I just kind of was holding the brush, and I walked around the house, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I was painting. I mean, I just lose train of thought, and I start thinking about something else, and I'm like, wait, I got to go back into the art room and paint, I don't know if anybody else is like that, but it's honestly, it's kind of like going to the fridge all the time, There's no reason to go to the fridge and just stare at the fridge that you just opened up and stared at, That's not a deep psychological problem. That's just the way you're wired.
Okay. Fat?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
the fat is directly wired right to my brain.
Right to the brain. Yep.
Right to the brain. So, I personally think a lot of things are solved, and not for everybody, not universally, but are solved by understanding that we're all different, and then, just not being such a mamby-pamby, wishy-washy society that's trying to understand everything. Do you ever see the South Park episode on ADHD? Listen to this.
Watch closely as I apply treatment to the first child. Sit down and study!
Let's go sledding, let's go race the race, let's go!
Sit down and study! Stop crying and do your schoolwork! If you would like more information on my bold new treatments, please send away for this free brochure entitled.
Okay, so part of it is, and this is obviously way
kids
over.
More.
You should hit
saying.
kids. No. What I'm saying is, and this is a very broad brush. One of the things that we have a problem with now is just saying, knock it off, study, knock it off, focus. And I know not everybody can, but if you couple that with actually knowing that kids are different and trying to find the best way for your kids to learn, because that's the problem, honestly, with big class sizes and a lot of public schools. Public schools are made for everybody to be the same. Okay? Everybody has to be the same. Well, they're not the same. Some kids learn really well in that atmosphere. Some kids don't. It's not one size fits all. And they're not teaching you, it's a lot more exciting when you are learning things. I mean, honestly, how many times have you heard your kids say, well, your kids aren't teenagers yet, so you'll start to hear
One
this.
is, yeah.
Yeah. Really? How old?
Zach's 13.
13.
About to turn 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
He's about to be married and have kids. Or at least just have kids. Anyway.
No, please no.
So, you'll hear from your kids, why do I have to know this? Why am I memorizing this? I'll never use it.
Yeah.
I'll never use it. And as a parent, you want to say, you're right. There's no reason why you need to memorize that name and that year.
Tell my kids all the time, AI is coming. You're not going to have to know anything. All you have to do is just type it in and it'll do all the work for you.
Might not be a good.
Don't worry about it.
Might not be a
Never
good
learn another
strategy.
thing, son.
Yeah. See, I don't tell them it's coming. I tell them it's already here. Why are you working on that? Why are you questioning? Just take a picture of it, give it to Grok, and it will finish it. But we have to start going back to a lot of the common sense, that we used to have. And there's a lot of things that were really bad. I mean, I was afraid of our principal. It was Sister Una. Okay, that just says enough right there. Sister Una, and she had a paddle that she hung up in her office that she made herself. And it was a wood paddle, and she had drilled holes in it to pick up speed so there wasn't real resistance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. And she was proud of it. She was proud of it. But you know what I was more afraid of? I mean, I would have taken the paddling, give it to me twice as hard, sister. Just let's keep this between us. Just don't call my parents, okay? We don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. And there's some things that come from discipline, some things that come from kids being different, and some, because they do have an issue. You can't talk a kid out of, dyslexia. You can't understand your way out of dyslexia. You can't do anything except understand that makes your child different, and there are ways for them to learn. But the worst thing you can do is to medicate your child so they don't adapt. They have to. You either are wildly successful or you're going to live under a bridge if you have ADD. You decide. You either adapt to it and use it as a strength, or you don't adapt to it and you just are crushed by the rest of your life.